Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ModGear, where you join me today in the middle of, quite literally, the middle of nowhere. Actually, we are actually in the Sahara Desert. Of course, I'm not 100% sure as to why. Now, Mr. James, the lead challenge designer for ModGear HQ, sent me out here with a challenge. I have to get my car from here, in the desert, to ModGear HQ, back in the town of Forksville. But James did not tell me what car it actually was. All he did tell me was that it was a rallying legend, and that it's also coming in via a helicopter. This is the Lancia Delta, a rally legend built to go fast in all sorts of terrain. And this is the car I'm going to be using for this challenge. So let's start her up and let's get going. But first, while we're on this drive heading out of the desert, I'm actually shocked by just how much of a history the Delta has. And honestly, let's just sit for a minute and let's talk about that. The Delta was one of the world's greatest rally cars ever made. When it was first entered in the Group A World Rally Championship in 1987, it dominated the track, winning a total of 46 WRC victories and winning the Constructors' Championship 6 times in a row. And for those who don't know what the Constructors' Championship is, it's basically a championship between manufacturer versus manufacturer, in a nutshell. Being able to hit 111 miles per hour, at least in the Garry's mod standards, it was also surprisingly quick and regarded as one of the most influential rally cars to have ever been made. Now, I just gotta find my way to Forksville. After some driving, I ended up in an underground parking garage. It almost looks something like the military would use, which does kinda worry me. Elevators? Maybe they lead to the surface. Where am I? Where we are is the abandoned Sahara airfield. Once used for fighter jets as well as used for the military during the war, it has been left abandoned for nearly 29 years. And to be honest, it barely looks abandoned at all. James said there's a note on the top of the radio tower for me. I just gotta figure out how to get up there first. There it is.
Alright, your first challenge is easy. All rally cars typically have rubbish suspension, and fall apart after every race. Your challenge is to see how well your car's suspension performs. Just don't die, or get hurt.
A suspension test, huh? This should be a piece of cake. And so began what I'm calling the bumpy part. After a little bit of driving around the desert dunes, I had collected my thoughts on what the suspension of the Lancia Delta is like. Overall, the suspension, like James believes, isn't that bad. The car does have a very bouncy-like ride, I'll completely admit it, but it actually tackles bumps very well. as well, dunes, because again, we're on dunes, so it doesn't really help much, but it still tackles bumps very well. I mean, I'd give this a passing score, but I'm not 100% sure what James thinks, so I'd have to have a talk with him about that. Alright, what is the next challenge?
To conclude this test, we'll be heading to the mountain forest. You'll need to cross a river to progress. But in a rally car, it's highly unlikely.
To the mountain forests. Man, what is James doing? Alright, let's get going. Well, I'm here, but I don't see a river. Oh, God! After nearly diving in with the fish, I've made it to the Freeland Mountain River. Look at all this trash! There's flippin' milk cartons in here! Monsters! But now, I had to cross the river. And in this case, we're just gonna call this challenge the watery part. Okay, Panda. Slow and steady. Side note, as to this, I forgot to mention that James said I was allowed to have 3 uses of the physics gun to move the car if needed, because, at least James is nice about something. Almost there. Come on, remember, slow and steady wins the race. Huh. Thank God. That's over with. Now I wonder what the next challenge is.
If you've made it thus far, congratulations. Your next challenge takes place in the city of Freeland, which is Forksville's closest neighboring city. Head to the gas station to the south, and make sure you're ready when you get there.
Alright then. The highway should be on the other side of the forest. Let's do this! So, this is the city of Freeland. It's definitely a nice place, and I'm shocked that I never actually got to hear about this place, since it was basically right next to Forksville. Anyway, to the gas station. James, what kind of challenge is this?
Your next challenge is simple. Beat your opponent on the Freeland Town Circuit.
Curse you, James. Well, here it goes. Let's call this the race part. Well, this is just too easy.
Victory.
Alright, give me my next challenge.
Your next challenge is a cornering test. Everyone knows that rally cars corner very strangely. So, it's time for you to test this theory.
Alright, this shouldn't be too difficult at least. Let's see how the Delta does in what we'll call the spiral part. It performs pretty solid. At least James is right about one thing. Next challenge.
It's time that you come home now. Get on the coastal road and head back to Forksville. Meet me at ModGear HQ.
Huh. It's about time that the challenges end. Let's go home, back to Forksville. Man, Freeland has got a nice view of the beach. It's too bad that Forksville doesn't have much of these views, unless you count the actual beach side itself, but we'll gloss over that. Anyway, let's get back before it gets too dark. Strange. No one is here? Hello? Who is this?
Hey, sorry. I had to go home early due to an emergency. Return here tomorrow. There is still one more test that I want you to do.
I see. Thank you. Thank you, James. Bye-bye. Well, I guess we'll be back here at ModGear HQ tomorrow to finish off whatever James wants us to do. I'm just gonna make sure he doesn't want me to, like, plummet and jump off a cliff or something, because that'd be bad.
Tomorrow.
It's now daytime here in Forksville, and James's final challenge for us is a drift challenge, which we will just call the sliding part.
And now, let's give the Lancia Delta an official lap around the Futaro circuit. The official standard time is 1:56:22. With added up accidents and collisions, the final adjusted time is 1:56:22.
And on that questionably done special-like note, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching, and now I'm just gonna go to bed back at home in the hills or something. So, good night. Just get the car. All right. Later, losers.